We need to talk about Proximata.
She closed her sketchbook. We have plenty of time to decide. Can we discuss it after the ceremony?
We can't keep putting it off.
We won't. We'll sit down and discuss it right after the ceremony. For now, let's enjoy the view. She gestured to the moon dust beyond the dome. Huxley laughed at first and paused.
It's not an excellent view. It's beautiful in its own way, I guess.
Maisie agreed. It was beautiful in its own way.
Did you hear about the attack?
Asked Huxley, grabbing her arm. Senescence? Asked Maisie.
On the cusp of two worlds, they wait for the crossing. The fetus dreaming, a sea trout feeding, my father in hospice, and I by his side. They float, unknowing, in sediments fragrant, deep blankets of silt, sandy sweet with decay. The bay is salty, the umbilical winding, the IV keeps dripping, and somewhere the muffle of thunder or rain.
I have played that piece 100 times, not wonderfully like a red-tailed hawk circling and catching the updraft, but relentlessly like water dripping from a tap. And yet, this morning, as I played for you, my fingers were struck dumb and brushed against the strings like strangers on the subway who took an immediate dislike to one another. My mind was distracted, releasing carrier pigeons, watching as they flew off, destined for unknown lands. My harp thinks perhaps we should see other people, rethink our relationship, get together for lunch, after a while.
Memories from my early years are odd, rhomboidal things I have trouble fitting into a context, as if I'd borrowed them from someone else's life. I remember with clarity stacking cans from the pantry into towers higher than my head and feeling it was my purpose. I ate ashes from the fireplace and banged my head against things. How could I ever have been that boy? I recall less clearly either of my parents in those years. They seemed benign intrusions from a too large world into my space. I had erected walls I considered obvious boundaries, but they ignored them. When they brought their faces too near, I turned away and barred the gates. What I do remember with great vividness from the time of the other me was the dream.
We hurt ourselves. What do we care of these strangers, these strange bodies and unfamiliar minds? We hurt ourselves asking, "Can you feel that?" As if our pain will translate through the air. See what I'm doing for you? How I carve myself into your image. What do we care of these strange, unfamiliar expanses of flesh that contain our vulnerable hearts that we are only trying desperately to expose?
On the drive home, I replayed every scenario in my life: the library, shopping, church, eating out with friends, and spending time with my family. I had never thought of my own disappearance as such. I had been adjusting slowly to life on my own, but I always assumed that isolation and a feeling of non-existence was my choice. Then I saw flashes of attempted interaction with people, especially young people, and the thwarted conversations and a brushing off that I had missed. My kids love me, but even they talk about me sometimes as if I'm not there. I realized that I was becoming invisible, a ghost, someone who used to be. I am still here, I whispered to the inside of my car.